say that you're tired. No use in saying what is done, it's done.
A lot of people want to scream like Sam Carter from Architects, but they sound whispery and the distortion sounds off, or they feel scratchy in their throat. This is because the screams are a little tricky in a couple of ways. So in this video, I'm going to show you the system I use to teach people all over the world how to unlock their Architect style screams without destroying their voice. I'm going to show you the biggest myth about his screams, then the two-step system to get Sam Carter's sound. To start, let's define what makes Sam Carter's screams different. For some people, they think it's just regular screaming, but most people who study Architects realize that Sam does something unique. He screams while adding different degrees of pitch in there and switches back and forth seamlessly. A lot of people, when they try and do this, struggle with creating the distortion or adding pitch to distortion, or they feel discomfort, or it sounds kind of like an Elmo sound or a buzzing sound. So you can kind of tell there's a lot of different areas where you can go wrong. And that's why it took me so many years to figure this stuff out. So I'm going to guide you through all of that using the chorus of the song Doomsday as an example.
I say the good tired.
Okay, so let's talk about the biggest myth about pitch screams. This myth makes a lot of my students use the wrong foundation, which makes adding pitch nearly impossible. But after I teach this to them, they can finally get that Architect sound. The myth is that you should start your scream with breath. I had one student named Tristan who wanted to do pitch screams. He could make distortion, but he wasn't able to add pitch to it. Whenever he tried, it would sound breathy and whispery. And this is because he was doing this. He was adding breath as the base of his scream. So he started with breath and added distortion, and it ended up sounding like this.
And he couldn't add pitch to it.
So how do we build this scream right? Well, let's get started with part one. So you need to use a non-airy, clean singing note as the foundation of your screams. And what I mean by non-airy is that when you sing a note, you can't sound like this, where there's air in it. It needs to be pure. And this is the exact opposite of what a lot of people do, but this is how Sam Carter gets that powerful pitch scream sound. So I want you to try right now to sing this pitch from the chorus of Doomsday.
I say the good tired.
And you don't want it to sound airy like this. You want it to sound full and in your face like this. Can you hear the difference? The second one has no air or breathiness. It's just pure and a solid note. So if you have trouble singing that or singing it without breath, then what I would recommend is to first start by finding a pitch that's naturally easier for you to not have air or breath in it. That's what I had to do to get Tristan to find his non-airy singing voice. At first, he tried a note that was too low in his range, which made it airy. So I had him try higher and higher notes and pitches until we found a note that made it easy for him to not include air. Now, if that approach for finding your non-airy pitch didn't work for you yet, not only is that okay, that's completely normal. I've taught screaming full-time since 2019, and the reality is there's no one-size-fits-all solution that works for everyone in unlocking their screams. It just means we need to find a different approach that works for you. So I've put together a training that goes more in depth into sort of building the scream properly, and a lot of my students see a lot of results from it, and you can get that for free by clicking the link in the description. All right, so anyway, back to the video. Okay, so now you can find a clean singing note that doesn't have air. How do we add grit to it? That brings us to the second stage. Okay, so once you have a non-airy pitch, what we need to do is add grit and distortion. And this is how we'll give it that edge and make it sound like Sam from Architects. And I had a student named Mercury who struggled to add grit or distortion to his clean singing. Whenever he tried to do it, he'd yell as loud as possible in hopes that it would naturally break up and create distortion. In the process, he would feel discomfort and was worried that he would hurt his voice. But I had to teach him that distortion is not made by yelling, it's actually made by tightening up. Distortion is made by compressing your vocal cords together and getting them to sputter, kind of like when you're doing a lip fart sound. Instead, you're using your throat instead of your lips. So how do we pull this off? Now, there's many different ways to do this, but for right now, I would recommend using the E vowel and getting as nasal as possible. E! And you want to get as tight as possible using your nose. E! And you may get a bit of an Elmo sound on the way there. But that actually means you're close. So keep getting even more and more nasal, and eventually you'll get sort of a white noise distortion. For example, You want to make sure it doesn't hurt and it sounds wet, gurgly, and smooth. And if done correctly, you'll have a clean singing note with some grit behind it. So now you're at this stage, what's next? Putting it together. If you've combined all these steps, then you'll find that you'll have a clean singing note with some grit behind it, exactly like how Sam Carter does. I'd recommend trying to apply this to different pitches within the chorus of Doomsday and then move it around. And once you can get the hang of that, then you want to start adding words on top of it. And with a bit of practice, you got this.
They say that you're tired, no use in saying what is done, but it's never enough. When the night gives way, it's like a brand new doomsday. When we'll pay, every river flows into the sea, but it's never enough. When the night gives way, it's like a brand new doomsday. No matter what they say, it's like a brand new doomsday.
So as a recap, to scream like architects, you need to first start with a clean singing note, not a breathy note, or a breathy clean singing note. Find a non-airy pitch that sounds full and solid, and that's your foundation. Then add grit by using an E vowel and getting nasal and sort of tightening up in your nose until you get wet, smooth distortion. And remember, don't yell, compress. And then after that, then you can move the gritty pitch around and try and match pitches with Sam Carter, and then eventually add words. All right, so remember, if you need any extra help doing any of this, then remember to check out the link in the description to get the free training. Otherwise, if you want to make your screams sound more brutal and go super high and low, then check out this video right here.